Lauri Markkanen is, in fact, better than he used to be. Plus, is he an all-star? That, amongst other questions, on an Ask LOJ edition of Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz, and your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We are available for free on all podcasting apps and on YouTube to the Everydayers and the Everydayer Club members. You are the greatest. Hoping to build up this Discord account to be the great little place where Jazz Twitter used to be fabulous and interesting and all that with our Everydayer Club. So hopefully we can get that done. Welcome to Jeremiah Johnson, the newest member of the Everydayer Club. Glad to have you aboard and being a part of the program. Thank you for joining in. All right, today's show is a Friday edition. Every Friday we do Ask LOJ. Ask LOJ is Ask Locked on Jazz. That means you ask the questions, I answer them. We used to do this every other week, but your questions are so dang good that we are rolling with them throughout the show. All right. Let's start with the first one. Has Lauri Markkanen gotten better? Yes. Way better, actually. I'm super impressed with the array of ways. And actually, Dan Clayton, who does SLC Dunk and Spanish broadcast, asked a really good question to Will Hardy last night in the press conference about the ways in which Lauri is scoring differently on a given night. I've always referred to Lauri as a 7-foot Klay Thompson. He is much more than that this year. He is using his strength and his power in a way that I had not, more so than I have seen before. Much more powerful open floor player in transition, particularly. When he's at his best, he's in transition. He's in transition 28% of his possessions now, which is a huge jump. If you look back over the years in the 04-05 season, he was at 20% transition, and the 03 he was back up. So last year he lost his transition play. Then, and this is where I'm seeing his powers, when he's in the open floor in transition, he's showing an incredible power. He didn't used to be absolutely outstanding. In fact, his points per opportunity ranked in the 65th percentile in the 03-04 season. Last year was in the 77th percentile. And now this year in transition, he's in the 90th percentile. He's shooting 68% if he gets out in transition. So that's been big time. The other one is he used to be, I thought, pretty dependent on having his shots be assisted. It's not down as far as I thought when I looked this up this morning based on this question. He's down at 79% of all of his shots are assisted instead of 82%. I think we're generous sometimes in what we give as assists. There was a play last night where he turned the corner, got it from Kevin Love, put a dribble down, lowered a shoulder, moved a guy out of the way, laid it up and in, and that was assisted. But I've seen a power game around the basket out of him that I've never seen before. And then finally, he's getting fouled with his power game, 12% of his possessions. Last year it was 9. In his All-Star year, it was 13. So he's back up to that kind of power level. He's finishing at the rim at his career high best 73%. And then last night, I thought we saw, and over the last few nights, we've seen some plays in the paint where he's driving, putting a foot down, fading back with a jumper, and doing some things that were really pretty, big time go-to moves that a year ago the Jazz tried to give him the ball at the elbow, make him go one-on-one out of the elbow. It was not a place where he's been successful. Now they're letting him do some things, and off the curl, he's able to create some things for himself in a different manner. So I think Lauri's gotten way better offensively. Defensively, actually, I don't think he's been very good recently. Maybe the last 2 games. Jazz really have played 2 of their best defensive games of the year the last 2 nights. Last night was just terrific. And that was against a bad defensive or offensive team in Dallas. They're 28th in the league. And then I thought Anthony Davis didn't care for the first half of the game. The defensive rating last night was actually not as good as the defensive rating in Oklahoma City. It was above average, barely, by the time it was done. But it does give us the above average defensive games for the first time since the first 2 games of the season. So nice progress there. But yeah, no, I think Lauri's gotten much better. So yes, great question. Will Lauri or Keonte make the All-Star team? I got another question of whether Lauri and Keonte should make the All-Star team. So those are 2 different questions. So I think they should make the All-Star team because players on the Eastern Conference who are inferior to them are going to make the All-Star team. If I understand correctly, and it's not entirely clear, what we're doing is we're taking 12 West, 12 East, and then we're dividing them into these international and national, 16 American and 8 international players. And having 3 teams, and I don't know I don't know how it works. I don't actually, if I'm being 100% honest, it's not high on my list. So, look at the Eastern Conference All-Stars. There are guys that Lauri's just simply better than. Like Michael Porter Jr., I think, is going to make the Eastern Conference All-Star team. Well, I mean, they're kind of the same guy. Like, they're both having these big breakout years with teams that aren't very good. So, Norman Powell from Miami might make the All-Star team. Keontae's have every bit as good a year as Norman Powell. But on the West, Jamal Murray should really make the All-Star team. Denny Advida is probably making the All-Star team over, I don't know if that's over Keonte or over Lauri, but Jamal Murray, Devin Booker, I don't think you can bump Devin Booker for Keonte George. I don't think you can bump Chet Holmgren for Lauri Markkanen. So I don't think Keonte and Lauri Markkanen make the All-Star team. And it's unfortunate because they've had great, incredible years. On the other end, it is just a reminder of how truly incredible and difficult it is to make the All-Star team. Ask LOJ edition today, and so we don't actually have specific questions to last night, but just another massively awesome late game play by Keonte George last night. Drive that hassled at the top by Marshall, fights through it, gets in the lane, spins Cooper Flag around, step back jumper. The Jazz clutch play this year probably needs to be talked about more. Probably I'll ask Will Hardy about tomorrow. I mean, the Jazz in the clutch this year are one of the better defensive teams. Clutch numbers have wild variance. Okay? So you have to be a little number with them. Careful with them. But the Jazz are 10-7 in the clutch. They're the 6th best net rating team in the clutch. 10th best offense, 5th best defense. What I'm most impressed with, and Bryce Sensabaugh hit a massive shot last night. Thank goodness that went in. What I'm most impressed by is the structure and order late in games. The ball is getting in the hands of Keonte George and Lauri Markkanen on almost every play and letting them make plays. And to me, that's how you're good in the clutch, is that the right guys get the ball and they get a chance to make the plays. And then Keonte and Lauri have been terrific. And then the defensive numbers are really pretty stunning late in game. Maybe, there might be some funny, as I said, there's high variance there. There might be some funny shot-making things going on when I looked across our numbers before, there wasn't anything really wild. Like our turnover numbers are not that high. Like there was nothing that jumped out. I don't have the NBA doesn't really help you out entirely with clutch. On the 4 factors, when I tried to see today why we were so good in the clutch, we're going to the free throw line a tremendous amount, which may mean we're ahead going into most of those games. And teams are not shooting particularly well against us, but that might be that we're just playing good defense. So I don't entirely know. Nothing jumped out, is I guess what I'm saying. When I looked at the clutch numbers, trying to find out what is going on, if there's something that you look at it and you say, oh well, teams are they're shooting 24% from 3 against us in the clutch and 39% overall. That feels low. That feels like that could come back and get us. And the 24% from 3 is particularly low. But honestly, teams don't shoot great in the clutch. The league average in the clutch is 32%, so it's not that crazy. All right, more questions. Has Cody Williams turned the corner? Will the Jazz have to decide between Walter Clayton and Isaiah Collier? Are you surprised Kyle Filipowski has not been better after Summer League? All next on Locked on Jazz. Thanks very much for tuning into Locked on Jazz today. Today's show is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. The Hyundai lineup of cars, absolutely fabulous. Not driving it today, but I have the Hyundai Santa Fe right now that I'm driving. It's a hybrid. It's been amazing. You fill it up for gas. It gets about 550, 600 miles per tank of gas. It's incredible. 3 rows of seats. Been absolutely fabulous. Drives great, smooth ride, a lot of power, feels safe, love it. We've also bought the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6. So the Hyundai lineup of cars is a staple in our house. Looks a little bit like a Hyundai used car lot. And you can do the same over at Murdoch Hyundai. If you're heading to Linden or to Logan or to 4646 South State Street in Murray, email me first at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com and let me know that you're going. We'll set you up with a Locked On VIP meeting and give you the everyday experience that you deserve over at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is also brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp, I like to refer to BetterHelp and therapy as either the weight room for your brain or performance enhancing is the way I like to look at it. I feel like it's a pretty good characterization of what it is, in the sense that it helps you improve your brain, how you think, what's going on, why some of the struggles you've had. So if this time of year you are looking to maybe chase a new you, sometimes it's not about reinventing yourself. It's about feeling a little less weight. Whatever it might be, therapy can help you understand what's been holding you back by giving you an outside perspective on your emotions, motivations, relationships. And that's why BetterHelp can be such a helpful place to start. Their therapists are fully licensed in the U.S. and work under strict code of conduct. They help match you with therapists based on your needs and preferences, so you're not doing all the legwork on your own. And if your match isn't the right fit, you can switch to another therapist from their tailored recommendations at any time. BetterHelp has served over 5 million people with more than 30,000 therapists, and live sessions average a 4.9 out of a 5 rating. More than 1.7 million client reviews. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with qualified therapists. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you very much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen, and thank you to all the everydayers out there who helped us make us the #1 sports podcast network. If you'd like to join the Everydayer Club, we've got 2 options for you. The All Access Club, you get the direct email or direct text message back and forth with me. I try to update you throughout the game, have a little fun, drop you notes, all that kind of stuff. You get Leaf 2 Leans, exclusive access on the draft, on breakdowns, on player breakdowns, and all of that. You get daily newsletter into your inbox about the show. You get access to our Discord channel. You get Locked On Sports Today ad-free. You get Locked On Jazz ad-free as well. You also get 15% off in the merch store, all for the All Access Club. That's $15 a month, $150 a year to get that one-on-one direct contact, in exclusive content for you, all on the Everydayer All Access Club. Also, there's the Everydayer Club access to our Discord channel, so you can be part of the, hopefully building up the next fun Jazz chat group and interaction group that once was Jazz Twitter, and was a lot of fun before everything else happened over there. Plus, ad-free and Locked On Sports Today. That's all. At the Everydayer Club, go to Supercast or LockedOnJazz.supercast.com. That's LockedOnJazz.supercast.com. Has Cody Williams turned the corner, and what should we expect the next 40 games? So turn the corner is a nice phrase. I think it's a little aggressive, but let's talk about the positives. I thought Will Hardy made a really interesting comment in the press conference today. He talked about how Cody Williams is finding out how to be successful now rather than trying to figure out how he's going to be successful in 2 years or 3 years. Now, if Cody's going to be successful as a wing player, I think he's going to have to end up making threes, right? I don't think he can be Amon Thompson or Asur Thompson. Those guys are so strong, so physically imposing, so awesome. They play a different game. But Cody is discovering that he can be a good player by slicing, by driving, by cutting off ball, and doing a lot of things rather than just standing in the corner. Standing in the corner is probably not the best option for him. Last night, he had 4 assists. One of them was just really basic, simple drive, kick to the corner. Someone hit a 3. It was a really nice play. He had 3 rebounds. He played 22 minutes. He had went 4 of 5 from the floor. I think 3 of the 4 were dunks. One of them was kind of a pseudo dunk. He was +2. He's been plus most of his nights recently. So, yes, I think Cody's figuring out how to play. What is it? Is it turning a corner? I mean, I think he's becoming somewhat viable, and he was one of the least viable players prior. What does it mean for the next 40 games? That's the real question. I don't want to tell Will Hardy what he should do with minutes, but it does feel to me that on a team that needs defense, Cody plays pretty good defense. I rarely see him blow a rotation. Rarely. See, like when we rewatch plays all the time and timeouts to see what happened. And it's rarely Cody making a mistake. So I think he does things right. I think he defends well. I think he has a chance to understand how to play defensively. And I think he's learning how to play offensively I don't think you just give anyone minutes. That's been very clear. Will's not doing that this year. But I would think that Cody probably could get to 20 some odd minutes a night. I had thought it was interesting to watch him start last night. Svi didn't play yesterday. And get those minutes. I would love to see Cody there aren't always enough minutes to go around. And I'd love to see Cody get about 20 minutes a night the rest of the way and just see what happens. He and Chad Forcier are working really, really hard on his shot right now. And actually yesterday's pregame warm-up, this probably doesn't mean anything, but he made 9 straight. I've never seen him make 9 straight before. So a little confidence, a little consistency. There are some really special skills in there, that 1-foot jump, that drive, that ability to elevate and get on top of the cup. Those are unique skills that not everybody has. And it'd be nice to see Cody get some of that time. He had such a non-factor opening year that I think having some success in the second half of this season so he can make a year 2 to year 3 jump and have something to build on would be terrific. Will the Jazz have to decide between Walter Clayton and Isaiah Collier? That's an interesting question. I pause. I think it's a fair question. They both play point guard. They both seem to be exclusively point guards. They do play together some. They're both small. I know Collier's listed at 6'5". I really feel like he's small. He's so powerful. They're so different that on one level, I would say, no, Jazz should not have to decide. Like, Collier's a pace of play, tempo changer, paint player. Clayton's more of an off-the-bounce, three-point shooter, maybe facilitator. He was really interesting in the postgame last night, talking about how difficult it actually has been for him to try to figure out whether he's a scorer or a distributor. I think that's really complicated. I think he's got a whole nother layer to his game that we haven't even seen yet once he tries to figure that out. But do the Jazz have to decide between the two? No. I'm going to go with no. I think they can play enough minutes together. I think they are such a different change of pace. I think both of them have routes. Clayton's is wider ranging. Clayton has more ways that I think he can be, and his ability to shoot and off the bounce shoot and play in the pocket and hit some floaters and make defenses play him honestly. He has a wider offensive route to play. Both of them are really poor defensively right now. Isaiah's got to get better defensively. Isaiah's had some defensive moments that really need some work. And Walt's just doesn't have it figured out, might not be laterally quick enough. So defense is probably going to dictate. The only reason you might have to decide is if both of them don't get better defensively, then it's hard to play both of them. Are you surprised Kyle Filipowski hasn't been better after how great he was in Summer League? No, I'm not. I've always believed this. I've said it a lot of times on the show. I don't really believe players get better year 1 to year 2. Kyle had a pretty extensive year 1 experience, particularly as a second-round draft pick. Played 21 minutes a night. He's playing 21 minutes a night this year. And his numbers are almost the exact same. 9 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, half a steal, half a block. Like, they're almost the exact same. So I did not expect a massive jump from Kyle year 1 to year 2 after playing 20 minutes a night. I think he's gotten a lot better, actually. I think his numbers don't show it. I think he's actually made a pretty good sized jump. The 2 areas where I think he's made a jump is when you used to put Kyle in isolation, it was a dumpster fire. It's not anymore. There have been a lot of games, whether it's Kevin Durant, there was a game about 3 nights ago. He's been put in isolation and been far more viable defensively than he ever was last year. I think he's made huge strides there. The second one that I thought was a really big issue for him last year was whether he could finish at the rim. And the numbers don't show it right now, and there used to be a way I could pull game-by-game rim shooting, and I don't think I can do that anymore anywhere. I think Kyle Filipowski's game-by-game rim shooting has gotten much better. His rim numbers are the exact same. It does not feel that way to me at all. He's at 65%, which is not great, but I think that's a little misleading. There's something I've watched him have more straight line drives, less spinning things at times, and finishing than I've seen than I had in the past. The reason I don't believe players get better year 1 to year 2 is where Kyle's struggling. They still go back to try the stuff they were great at before they get here, and then they fail at it again. He's tried spinning a bunch of times recently, and the ball goes flying everywhere. And he's tried a bunch of stuff recently, and that's because that's what his bag is, and that's what he's used to doing, and that's what's worked for him in years past. And he tries to go back to it, and he fails at it, and he's like convinced he's going to be able to do it again, and then fails again. And this is what every young player does. Kyle's very smart. This is not like claiming Kyle's like dense or anything. Exact opposite. This is just what young players do. And then they come back in year 3, and they're like, oh, I can't do that anymore. Or I have to do it this way. And when they do that, that's when they get better. So I think we have road for improvement. League-wide questions coming up. Did Washington just make a terrible mistake? And when Danny Ainge says big game hunting, why does it include Trae Young? Next on Locked on Jazz. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is official sportsbook partner of the NBA and of Locked On. And today's Friday. And do you know what Friday means? Friday means happy hour on FanDuel. That's right. Fridays are getting better every Friday night. Well, at least I'm recording this on Friday. I don't know when you're listening. Before the games tip off, FanDuel gives you a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA happy hour on Fridays. It's the official pregame limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. So here's how it works. Fridays, 6 to 7:30 Eastern, appointment viewing for NBA happy hour. Open the FanDuel app during happy hour. Always bring something new, boosts, bonuses, surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off. Make a move before the window closes. Timing's perfect right before the games, right before the weekend start. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app. See what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday, 6 to 7:30 p.m. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen. If you're going to a Jazz game this year, not many this month, you can bring headphones, noise canceling preferably, and listen in on the broadcast. You get real time. Plus, you get the commercial breaks where Ron and I are chit-chatting. We used to do exclusive programming for you. Now we just chat and you get to hear what we have to say, which people have said is more interesting. So please bring your headphones. There is a Vent Sound app you can download, and it will take you right to the Jazz stuff, and you can listen in the arena this year to the broadcast on the Vent Sound app. I love these two questions that came. Is there a chance Washington actually made a huge mistake getting Trae Young? If Danny Ainge is going big game hunting, why doesn't Trae Young count as big game hunting? And that, to me, is kind of the beautiful ability of the NBA, is that both those are possible to be true. Is there a chance that Washington getting Trae Young for free was a big mistake? Yeah. He becomes your cultural focal point. And if he's culturally a problem, then you could have made a big mistake. The question also is, will he be so ball dominant that while he makes the lives of Keyonte George and Bub Carrington and Alex Sarr easier, that's actually not better? That precludes them from developing the way we want to. Now, Bub Carrington has been kind of struggling I watched Washington a little. I watched the final. I try to watch the final 9 minutes of most close games. And that's how I see Washington or Charlotte or Brooklyn or things like that. I take it back, by the way, after watching Cooper Flagg last night. He's rookie of the year, not Conkenipple. Conkennipple's been great, but Cooper Flagg's rookie of the year. Holy crap. That just made me think that when I said Charlotte. So, yeah, there is a real chance that Washington ends up. Now, there's one area here where I don't think it's been talked about enough. You have to spend a certain amount of money in the league. C.J. McCollum is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. They've been better recently with C.J. McCollum. He's shown some order and structure. I don't think they want to sign C.J. McCollum to a multi-year contract in the offseason. And I think they would have been hard to hold him to a 1 or 2 year deal. And they get Trae Young for next year for a number that, frankly, they kind of have to pay anyway. And so the fact that they have to pay someone anyway at some point here means that what they're really doing with Trae Young next year is bring him in for like a $7 or $8 million, maybe $10 more million than CJ McCollum, maybe 12, because that's what Corey Kispert's getting paid. Not a huge number. And so therefore it's not like it's a risk. The issue just with Trae Young is whether he's just such a dominant essence. Like, one of the things I think has been most impressive about the Jazz this year is that they cleared the oxygen out of the building with Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, and John Collins, and let the young kids have the oxygen, and they've been really, really good because of it. And that's been the most impressive thing to me. Have any of your preseason predictions gone wrong, changed this year? I don't think so. I still think we're having a Denver beating Oklahoma City and New York in the finals. I'm still holding to that, thinking it. I don't think I had Rudy Gobert as Defensive Player of the Year, and he probably should win Defensive Player of the Year. How about that? That wraps us up. Thanks very much for tuning in. If you want to join the Everydayer Club, it is Supercast or LockedOnJazz.supercast.com. Love to have you aboard. Love to make a part of it. Be a part of our Discord channel and jump into all of that. If you want to follow me on socials, it's DLock09. Otherwise, have a great weekend. I'll be back with you after the game on Saturday. We now send you the first ever national NBA channel, Locked On NBA YouTube, or check out Game Night, every game, every night at Locked On NBA.